Good evening, friends. Welcome to my channel. Today we'll be discussing a very important topic in GST, which was long due. Many litigations had taken place due to non-clarity in the subject. Now, department has come up with a clarification in circular number 178 dated 10/22. I would request you to first subscribe to my channel if you have not done till now and press the like button so that any new videos, if uploaded, will come directly to you. Now let's run through the circular 178. It is related to GST applicability on liquidated damages, compensation and penalty arising out of breach of contract or other provision of law. In certain cases or instances, questions have been raised regarding taxability of an activity or transaction as the supply of service of agreeing to the obligation to refrain from an act or to tolerate an act or a situation or to do an act or a situation. So basically there are three things. First, refrain from an act. Second, tolerate an act. And third, to do an act. So applicability of GST on payments in the nature of liquidated damages, compensation, penalty, cancellation charges, late payment surcharge, etc. arising out of breach of contract or otherwise, and scope of entry at para 5E of Schedule 2 of GST Act in this context have been examined. So, mainly three acts are there, like the agreeing to the obligation to refrain from an act, or to tolerate an act, or situation, or to do an act. So, in this has been specifically declared to be supply of service in para 5E of Schedule 2 of CGST Act if the same constitutes a supply within the meaning of the act. The said expression has following three limbs, that is, we'll discuss the three limbs in detail, that is agreeing to obligation to refrain from an act. So, to refrain from an act means, like for example, if any competition is there and to refrain others to take part in the competition, some consideration is paid to them. Or for example, if two buildings are being constructed, the first builder gives a compensation to the other builder for not raising the height of the building beyond his building to have the sunlight. So that is an act of refraining. So for this, if the compensation is paid, so that compensation should be treated as supply or not. Agreeing to obligation to tolerate an act or a situation. Like if a shopkeeper allows a hawker to operate in front of his shop for consideration of monthly payment, so that is an tolerating an act. Like if someone is standing in front of his shop, so he is tolerating that hawker on payment of consideration. So that consideration or compensation, whether it is treated as a supply. Agreeing to obligation to do an act. For example, if an industrial unit agrees to install the equipment for zero emission on behest of a neighboring residential complex, like even though if the industrial unit is a zero emission discharge, so but still the neighboring resident complex has given a consideration to install the equipment, so it is obligation to do an act. So whether that consideration is treated as supply. So the description agreeing to the obligation to refrain from an act or to tolerate an act or a situation or to do an act was intended to cover services such as described above. However, over the years, doubt have persisted regarding various transactions being clarified under the said description. Some of the important examples of such cases are service tax or GST demands on liquidated damages paid for breach of contract. That is, refraining from an act, though unintentionally. Compensation given to previous allottee of coal blocks for cancellation of their licenses pursuant to Supreme Court order. Check dishonor, and for that penalty or fine charged by the power distribution company from the customer. Penalty paid by a mining company to state government for unaccounted stock of river bed material. Bond amount recovered from employee leaving the employment before the agreed period. Late payment charges collected by any service provider for late payment of bills. Fixed charges collected by a power generating company from State Electricity Board or by SEBs and DISCOMs from individual customer for supply of electricity. Cancellation charges recovered by railway for cancellation of ticket, etc. So, in some cases, tax authorities have initiated investigation, and in some advanced ruling authorities have upheld tax liability. In service tax law, service was defined as an act as any activity carried out by a person for another for consideration. As discussed in Service Tax Education Guide, the concept activity for a consideration involves an element of contractual relationship, wherein the person doing an activity does so at the desire of the person for whom activity is done in exchange for consideration. An activity done without such a relationship, that is, without the express or implied contractual reciprocity of a consideration, would not be an activity for consideration. So, here there is no contractual reciprocity in the examples what we have mentioned above, where one supplies goods or services at the desire of another is an essential element of supply. The description of declared services in question, namely, agreeing to the obligation to refrain from an act or to tolerate an act or a situation or to do an act in para 5E of Schedule 2 of CGST Act is strikingly similar to the definition of contract in the Contracts Act 1872. The Contract Act defines contract as a set of promises forming consideration for each other. Promise has been defined as willingness of the promiser to do or abstain from doing anything. Consideration has been defined in Contract Act as what the promisee does or abstains from doing for the promises made to him. This goes to show that the service of agreeing to the obligation to refrain from an act or to tolerate an act or situation or to do an act is nothing but a contractual agreement. A contract to do something or abstain from doing something cannot be said to have taken place unless there are two parties, one of which is expressly or impliedly agrees to do or abstain from doing something, and the other party agrees to pay to the first party for doing or abstaining from doing such an act. There must be necessarily a sufficient nexus between the supply and the consideration. But in the above examples, what we have seen, like penalty for dishonor of check dishonor, it's not intentionally done. Sometimes it may be intentionally and sometimes it is on the fault. Like in the above examples, liquidated damage paid for breach of contract. So, breach of contract was not decided earlier. It is when deciding the contract, there was no intention of breach of contract. It happened during the course of contract. So, that cannot be said as a contract between two parties for doing the breach. Likewise, a perusal of the entry at serial 5E of Schedule 2 would reveal that it comprises the aforementioned three different set of activities, namely obligation to refrain from an act, obligation to tolerate an act or a situation, and obligation to do an act. All the three activities must be under agreement or a contract. जैसे आपको ये तीन एक्टिविटीज़ जो करना है जीएसटी एप्लीकेबिलिटी के लिए, ये कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में होना ज़रूरी है। जैसे अगर आप चेक डिसऑनर करते हैं और पेनाल्टी पे करते हैं इलेक्ट्रिसिटी डिपार्टमेंट को, वो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में नहीं होता है। आपका कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है इलेक्ट्रिसिटी डिपार्टमेंट को पेमेंट करना है, बट चेक डिसऑनर किया, दैट इज़ नॉट अ पार्ट ऑफ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, वो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट का पार्ट नहीं है। चेक डिसऑनर करना वो आगे का है, इट इज़ ऑन द विल ऑफ द पार्टी डूइंग द रॉन्ग डैमेज। तो उसलिए जब पेनाल्टी पे करते हैं वो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट का हिस्सा नहीं होता है, इसलिए जीएसटी उस पर अप्लीकेबल नहीं रहता है। वैसे ही जैसे अग्रीमेंट टू डू और रिफ्रेन फ्रॉम एन एक्ट शुड नॉट बी प्रिज्यूम टू एग्जिस्ट। जब अपने को जब किसी ने हमें कंसिडरेशन दिया है कुछ एक्ट ना करने के लिए, तो उसे हम कॉन्ट्रैक्ट का हिस्सा नहीं मान सकते हैं। There has to be an expressed or implied agreement, oral or written, to do or abstain from doing something against payment of consideration for doing or abstaining from such act for a taxable supply to exist. Taxable supply होने के लिए जो भी अग्रीमेंट है वो ओरल या रिटन वो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में होना चाहिए। An agreement to do an act or abstain from doing an act or to tolerate an act or situation cannot be imagined or presumed. मेन थिंग है उसको पहले ही अपन presume या imagine नहीं कर सकते हैं, just because कि वहाँ पे flow of money हो रहा है, एक पार्टी से दूसरी पार्टी को पैसे जा रहे हैं, उसलिए अपन presume नहीं कर सकते हैं कि वो एक्ट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में है। So, unless there is an express or implied promise by the recipient of the money to agree to do or abstain from doing something in return for the money paid to him, it cannot be assumed that such payment was for doing an act of refraining from an act. Or payments such as liquidated damages for breach of contract, penalties, ये सारे जो examples above we have discussed, they are amounts recovered for not tolerating an act or situation and to deter such act. Such amounts are for preventing breach of contract or non-performance and are thus mere events in the contract. जो अमाउंट डैमेज के लिए रिकवर हो रहा है for not tolerating an act or situation or to do an act, वह प्रिवेंट करने के लिए था, नॉट कि उसको कॉन्ट्रैक्ट का हिस्सा बनाने के लिए, तो उसे हम सप्लाई नहीं मान सकते हैं और ना ही उस पर जीएसटी चार्ज कर सकते हैं। फर्दर, सच अमाउंट डू नॉट कॉन्स्टिट्यूट पेमेंट फॉर टॉलरेटिंग एन एक्ट बिकॉज देयर कैन नॉट बी एनी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट फॉर ब्रीच देयरऑफ। कोई कॉन्ट्रैक्ट ब्रीच करने के लिए नहीं करते हैं, ना ही स्टॉक होल्ड करने के लिए, जैसे माइनिंग कॉन्ट्रैक्ट हो तो लिमिट से ज़्यादा स्टॉक होल्ड करने के लिए कोई कॉन्ट्रैक्ट नहीं होता है, या एम्प्लॉयमेंट अगर छोड़ता है कोई बिफोर द मिनिमम पीरियड तो उसके लिए भी कोई कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एंटर नहीं होता है। Such payments will not constitute consideration and hence such activities will not constitute supply within the meaning of the act. Tax liability of these transactions आगे डिटेल में डिस्कस करेंगे। लिक्विडेटेड डैमेजेस, लिक्विडेटेड डैमेजेस क्या है कि अगर कोई कॉन्ट्रैक्ट ब्रीच करता है तो जो पार्टी ने कॉन्ट्रैक्ट ब्रीच किया है उससे पेमेंट दूसरे पार्टी को पे करना होता है कॉन्ट्रैक्ट ब्रीच करने के लिए या कॉन्ट्रैक्ट परफॉर्म नहीं करने के लिए। Breach or non-performance of contract by one party results in loss and damage to the other party. Therefore, the law provides in Section 73 of Contract Act 72 1972 that when a contract has been broken, the party who suffers such breach is entitled to receive from the other party compensation for loss or damage caused to him by such breach. अगर कोई कॉन्ट्रैक्ट बराबर से पूरा नहीं करता है तो उसे दूसरी पार्टी को जिसने लॉस बेयर किया है उसे कॉम्पनसेशन देना होता है, और ये कॉम्पनसेशन इंडिपेंडेंट एक्टिविटी है, वो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट का हिस्सा नहीं है, इसलिए दैट कैन नॉट बी टेकन एज जीएसटी। उस पर जीएसटी नहीं आएगा क्योंकि वो सप्लाई ही नहीं है। It is common for the parties entering into contract to specify in the contract itself the compensation that would be payable in the event of breach. Compensation पहले contract में लिख सकते हैं, but इसका अर्थ यही नहीं होता है कि एक पार्टी को ब्रीच करना ही है। अगर वो ब्रीच करता है, अगर वो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट पूरा नहीं करता है तो उसे जो राशि देनी होती है दूसरी पार्टी को वो लिखते हैं कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में, बट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट ये नहीं कहता है कि एक पार्टी को ब्रीच करना है, एक पार्टी को कॉन्ट्रैक्ट पूरा नहीं करना, ऐसे नहीं रहता है। सो liquidated damages as cash compensation agreed to by a signed written contract for breach of contract payable to the aggrieved party. So अगर if the contract is broken and some has been penalty अगर देते हैं दूसरे पार्टी को, that cannot be taken as supply and that cannot attract GST. It is argued that performance is the essence of contract. Liquidated damages cannot be said to be a consideration received for tolerating the breach or non-performance of a contract. They are rather payments for not tolerating the breach of contract. Payment of liquidated damages is stipulated in a contract to ensure performance and to deter non-performance. लिक्विडेटेड डैमेजेस इसलिए कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में होता है कि दोनों पार्टी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट पूरा करें, ना कि कॉन्ट्रैक्ट पूरा न करें। तो लिक्विडेटेड डैमेजेस इट कैनॉट बी टेकन एज कंसिडरेशन, उसको हम कंसिडरेशन कॉन्ट्रैक्ट के लिए नहीं मान सकते हैं, इसलिए वह सप्लाई नहीं कहलाएगा और ना ही उस पर जीएसटी लगेगा। In this background, a reasonable view that can be taken with regard to taxability of liquidated damages is that where the amount paid as liquidated damages is an amount paid only to compensate for injury, loss or damage suffered by the aggrieved party due to breach of contract and there is no agreement express or implied by the aggrieved party receiving the liquidated damages to refrain from or tolerate an act or do anything for the party paying the liquidated damages. जो अगर पार्टी liquidated damages पे कर रही है उसका कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में कोई जिक्र नहीं रहता है कि वो पार्टी liquidated damages पे करेगी अगर दूसरी पार्टी ने कॉन्ट्रैक्ट पूरा नहीं किया तो वह कॉन्ट्रैक्ट का मेन हिस्सा नहीं है। वो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट को पूरा करने के लिए लिक्विडेटेड डैमेजेस का क्लॉज आता है कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में कि कॉन्ट्रैक्ट पार्टीज दोनों पार्टीज कॉन्ट्रैक्ट पूरा करें, ना कि कॉन्ट्रैक्ट को अधूरा छोड़ें। Such payments do not constitute consideration for supply and are not taxable. So, liquidated damages cannot be taken as supply and are not taxable. If a payment constitutes a consideration for supply, then it is taxable irrespective by what name it is called. It must be remembered that a consideration cannot be considered the horse, an agreement or contract between two persons wherein one person does something for another and that other pays the first in return. If the payment is merely an event in the course of the performance of the agreement and it does not represent the object as such of the contract, that it cannot be considered consideration. For example, a contract may provide that payment by recipient of the goods or service shall be made before a certain date and failure to make payment by the due date shall attract late fee or penalty. A contract for transport of passengers may stipulate that the ticket amount shall be partly or wholly forfeited if the passenger doesn't show up. A contract for package tour may stipulate forfeiture of security deposit in the event of cancellation of tour by the customer. Similarly, a contract for lease of movable or immovable property may stipulate that the lessee shall not terminate the lease before a certain period, and if it does so, he will have to pay certain amount as early termination fee or penalty. Therefore, such payments, even though they may be referred to as fine or penalty, are actually payments that amount to consideration for supply. So, in the above examples, अगर contract ट्रांसपोर्टर ऑफ पैसेंजर्स के लिए है जिसमें टिकट का अमाउंट अगर पार्टली या होली फोरफिट हो जाएगा अगर पैसेंजर नहीं आता है तो वो सप्लाई है, बिकॉज वो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट ही इसलिए है कि अगर सब पैसेंजर नहीं आता है तो उसका टिकट का पैसा फोरफिट हो जाएगा. सो सच कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स आर कंसिडर्ड सप्लाई एंड इस पे जीएसटी लगेगा. Early constitute consideration for supply of facility, namely of acceptance of late payment, early termination of lease agreement or prepayment of loan, and of making arrangement for the intended supply by the tour operator respectively. Therefore, such payments, even though they may be referred to as fine or penalty, are actually payments that amount to consideration for supply and are subject to GST in cases where such supply is taxable. Since these supplies are ancillary to the principal supply for which the contract is signed, they shall be eligible to be assessed as the principal supply, as discussed in detail in the later paragraphs. Naturally, such payments will not be taxable if the principal supply is exempt. Now friends, we'll pause for this and the rest of the other examples we'll discuss in the next video. Do please subscribe to the channel. Thank you.